Hello and welcome to Take Your Time, a Persona podcast in which we're talking about Persona 3 Reload day by day, week by week, second by second, along with the in-game calendar. That's right, we're going to go through every single millisecond of this week in Persona because there is so much to dig into. No, it's unfortunately a little bit of a quieter week after the explosive week last week, but we still have some fun stuff to talk about, including some social links we're going to do this week. But before we get to all of that, I should probably say who I am, because if you listen to the show, there's no way you could know who I am. It's impossible to guess, but I'm Jonathon Dornbush, joined as always by my co-host, Tom Marks. Tom, hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
We're continuing Tom's latest trend of being either sick or getting over a cold.
It's that time of year, and it's that time of having a kid.
It is. But I'm doing well. I just might sound a little raspy, and I apologize for that.
And while that might happen to Tom's voice, if I sound like I'm going through puberty, that's just because that happens sometime to my voice, and I wish it didn't. But anyway, here we are. I had multiple times on the phone, I have had to call like random companies or like things when I need to check in at check on a prescription or something, and they'll be like, "Sorry, ma'am, we don't have that for you." I'm just like,
I got that all the time.
Yeah. It's just like a very funny thing where just people assume, and I'm like, you could just say sorry, because especially who knows what the other person on the line feels about that.
Yeah. People, when they would call my house when I was a kid asking for my mom, I would answer the phone and they would think it was her.
There was a time when I was a kid, I did for a while, I really wanted so skateboard wheels, there's, like a standard deck and then like a longboard deck. Longboard deck have larger wheels. I really wanted a set of them to put on my standard deck just to cruise around. And our local skate shop didn't really sell them, weirdly. But I asked them one day in shop, and they were like, yeah, we could probably order some. It might take a few weeks though, whatever. And so it was taking some time. And so I would check in like once a week for a month. And after like the first 2 weeks, they were like, please stop calling. Just check back in like a month or two. But I didn't want to wait. So I would do fake voices. And there was one week I called in the highest pitch I could go and pretended I was like a little sister to a brother who really wanted skateboard wheels. Totally tricked them. They actually did not think it was me. But yeah.
Suddenly they're like, wow, there's a lot of demand for these longboard wheels. That's crazy.
They ordered so much and then had all this inventory no one bought. But also, how do you not have those? Anyway, we'll talk about skateboards, I guess, another time. We have Persona to talk about.
Yes.
And before we get to the Persona we have to talk about, we do have to talk about our wonderful fans over at patreon.com/takeyourtime. We appreciate everyone who is supporting us over there, making the show happen, being a wonderful community, talking about the show, offering comments, questions, all that fun stuff. And as always, we'd like to do our confidant call out. So a huge thank you to everyone who is supporting us over at the Palace Ruler tier, which is Akechi as a Jelly Bean, Astral Clock Tower, Brody S, Cameron C, Claudia R, Dallas, Damon, Dan, Default Titus, Dexter, I Kill Gods for Fun, Caitlin E, Keegan H, Mad Attack, Metaphor Refantazio Goody nominee, Michael V, Programmer Sid, Sam K, Sarah M, Shade, Willie Wang Wang, and Zachary L. Thank you all so much for supporting us over there, as well as everyone else who's supporting us. If you would like to go over to patreon.com/takeyourtime, feel free to. You get episodes a day early, ad-free, as well as all our bonus episodes, which include one that will be coming out this month, as well as our Velvet Room, which is up, and you can go listen to Tom and I blab on about just how many RPGs there were this year to play that were great.
I said earlier, maybe hasn't been a year for the genre previously, and may not be a year like this for the genre going forward.
I don't know how you do it. Though there were a lot of RPGs shown that we got some trailers for that looked cool.
It's true.
But
it's true.
We'll see if they all come out the same year again. Moving on from there, Tom, why don't you give us your pop quiz result?
Yes. So the pop quiz last week was a very silly one, which is that Junpei, in the middle of this conversation with Ryoji, says, oh, well, that's simple. The god of death is coming to kill all of humanity and cannot be destroyed in any way, shape, or form at all because it's like destroying time. That's easy. all we got to do is blank and then we're golden. And I asked what the blank was, what his master plan was to be golden is. Did we get any responses?
We did. Mark said the real pop quiz answer is that Junpei says all we have to do is win and we're golden.
Yep.
But also says the better pop quiz answer is that Junpei introduces the newest member of S.E.E.S, Zagreus. And not only has he already upgraded all of his weapons, but he's also Nyx's son, and he's given her lots of ambrosia, so we're good. Which I really
I like
enjoyed.
that.
And then Shade said, I honestly don't remember, so I'm going to guess hitting Nyx really hard with a baseball bat, which also...
Kind of accurate.
Kind of a win by accident, yeah.
I just love that this was his response. Was he just stands up and he's like, all we got to do is win, and we're golden. It's like, Junpei, what?
It's a real, like, anime boy, like, all we got to do is win, and we got this. And everyone else is just like, no, did you not hear what he said?
The win isn't even in context because we hadn't like been talking about fighting. I don't know. It was just very like, we win, just win and we win and it's done. And you're like, thanks, Junpei.
You just slowly put a arm on his shoulder and like, come on now, let's figure this one out.
As we see this week, he's not quite in his right mind in that regard.
That's fair. Well, he's been through a lot, that poor boy.
Yes.
And speaking of this week, we are going to be talking about December 8th through the 13th, which is one day less to account for exams, which are coming up next week. And so obviously PSA, exam weeks are quick. And so we will have plenty of time, especially as we get toward the end of the year. So please, over, the next week, hit us up with all of your questions and comments about the recent weeks, the big events that have been happening, the next couple weeks as well, because we can bank some stuff. But it would be great to hear from you all about how you're feeling about the game over the last few months, last few weeks in particular, and include all of that because we'll have plenty of time. And on that note, obviously, as we approach the holidays, we will be probably batch recording some stuff due to wanting to make sure Tom and I can enjoy some of the holidays, but we will figure that out and keep everyone updated as we go. Yeah.
Yep. And similarly, later in this episode, we're going to be talking about, because we have a little extra time, Fuka and Maiko. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's who we decided. We're going to talk about Fuka and Maiko's max rank 10s, because we have not done that yet, I don't believe.
And if we have, we're sorry. It would be incredible if it was just word for word conversation. Anyway, let's start off because it is a little bit of a quicker week, but still some things to pick at as we go. We'll start off with December 8th. Obviously, we're coming off of last week's pretty momentous week, I would say.
Yeah, some stuff happened.
Yeah, and
That'd be a good way of putting it.
Some stuff has happened. As we get sort of a running theme around this point in the game, the group is pondering our decision that we have to make, as we learned last week, of what we're going to do when Ryoji comes back on New Year's Eve. What a bummer way to celebrate New Year's Eve, but we have to think about it. And
you get these little check-ins right before school with a couple of the party members where like each day it's a new person basically asking you if you've made your choice yet.
Yeah.
Which is sort of grim and shows that it's hanging over all of them.
Yes, yeah. It's very hard to, I think, go through this portion of the game and not realize, like, this is all we can think about because, hey, it's pretty important. So, yeah, Fuka comes up to us, asks if we made our decision before we get into school, and then I think it's just a pretty normal day.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what did you do for your day?
I hung out with Mitsuru, got Mitsuru to rank 7. Mitsuru is available basically every day from when this reveal happens to, I mean, I don't know, like still past. I think she was available all the way through finals. I think there are enough days that you could just start with Mitsuru right after you find out you're all going to die and have her at max rank by the time you get to finals.
It definitely feels like because normally students aren't available around exams, but it feels like hey, we know we're introducing her very late into this story. We'll give you time if you want to hang out with her.
Yeah, which I appreciate to the latter, which would be it's really, really, you have to take every single opportunity to hang out with her or whatever.
Yeah, it would be strange if you got like 2 days with her and then suddenly she's not available. It's like, oh, well, that was a lot for nothing. But yes, I hung out with Mitsuru as well because she is one of the few available still to me and got her to rank 4.
Nice. And then the shopping stuff arrives in the evening, and then I also took Koromaru for a walk in the evening.
Me too.
Kind of because there was not much else to do, and going on a walk with Koromaru is fun.
Who did you run into?
Chihiro. I think it's set.
It is. Way. Okay, just confirming. I ran into Chihiro as well. But yeah.
And I will once again say, man, I know I've banged this drum a lot. It is so cool how much voice acting is in this game. There's so many more scenes than I'm expecting. And especially, like, I love Metaphor. You can listen to our bonus episode to talk about how much I love, or to hear me talk about how much I love Metaphor. But it is so interesting to be playing these two things back to back, and with how little voice acting Metaphor has in scenes I would expect it, and how much voice acting Persona 3 Reload has in scenes I would not expect it. Mm-hmm. It's really cool how much talking there is in this game.
What's really interesting, and we can talk about this as we go to December 9th, since I had the same synchronous day as you, we get Akihiko in the morning asking us about making up our minds. And honestly, I kind of wish these mornings were voiced. I know they're very quick, but they, not to be greedy, I guess, but they feel like they could be. It wouldn't be out of the norm of this game for them to be voiced.
Yeah, it's the type of scene you would never expect to be voiced in a regular Persona game, and in this one you're like, oh wow, it's actually one of the few that's not.
Yeah, it's a very funny thing where I'm like, this is definitely me being like spoiled at this point with this game, but it's still nice to have these check-ins. You get a little bit of different flavor with each of them. I think we know these characters well enough that you can kind of hear their voice anyway. And yes, this morning is Akihiko asking us about making up our minds.
Yep.
And then lovingly we get
and also Akihiko, critically for me, being one of the few people to be like, it's weird we're still going to school. We know the world's going to end in like a month or two. Why are we going to school?
We're just doing... I mean, that comes up a little bit as we get closer toward exams as a whole. Yeah. But no, you're very right. It's an amusing thing. Well, because it's like, how do you explain to everyone else?
Yeah.
You know? Moving from there, though, yes.
But, sorry. The key reason I find it interesting is because it again shows that they're not expecting to get out of this. Like... the reason they're going to school isn't, well, we got to go to school so that if it does go well, if we do kill Nyx, it'll all be okay. We haven't missed school. That's not the reason they're giving. Yeah. They're just like, we just got to do this, I guess. It's very much, it's not going to school born out of hope. It's going to school born out of, what else do we do?
What's the alternative at this point? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see where they're all at emotionally at this point. And I think how clearly you can tell that from them, which is a credit to the game's, depiction of these characters.
Yeah.
After that, we get a lovely breakdown lecture from Edagawa about Japanese magic, or like magic within, he's like, I realize we've never spoken about magic here. Why don't we do that for a very long time?
Yep.
Though not as long as some of his others. I do feel like this one is shorter than the tarot one.
Yes, but that tarot one was record-setting.
That tarot one was a novella.
It was.
So you get this lecture. There's a question in it, or is this a stay awake? I didn't write down.
Yeah,
which one it was. I think it's a question.
It's like, what does one of the people, like one of the royals that he mentioned, what type of magic did they do?
Yeah. So you get that, and then let me guess, you hung out with Mitsuru.
No. Yes.
Come on now.
I got Mitsuru to rank 8.
Nice.
And then in the evening, I studied. This is the beginning of the study sessions. So I studied with Ken and Koromaru.
Awesome. It was same synchronous day, Mitsuru rank 5, and then the study session with Ken. This is a very cute one about sort of like having the difficulty to focus, sort of,
Similarly questioning, like, why are we even doing this right now? And then we gotta keep going.
Yes.
We gotta carry on in the face of it.
There's a cute part about like Koromaru wanting to study with us, and then he disappears. He gets us an energy drink to help us focus, and then it's like he wants to hang out now and be part of things. This is probably the lightest of these scenes.
Yeah, I really appreciate these scenes. Obviously finals within the middle of this doom and gloom is very odd, but all of these scenes are used very smartly to unpack how people are feeling right now.
Yes.
And how they're feeling about just having to go about life amidst all of this.
Yeah. No, there are some really great ones coming up, and I'm excited to talk about them. Mm-hmm. Before we do, let's get to December 10th, where Tom, what did you do?
Well, so Elizabeth calls in the morning.
Yes,
and
correct.
Says that Tartarus isn't blocked anymore, which was really surprising to me. I didn't expect Tartarus to open up this soon. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason it does is kind of structurally, it's a little bit odd just with the way the game works. Elizabeth always calls you in the morning to tell you that it's unblocked, but then it's not until the evening that your group has this meeting where they start basically being like, hey, we should keep going, right? And they all sort of like come to that conclusion together. And I think that is if I had known that before Tartarus got unlocked, I would have been like, oh, that makes sense, because now our group actually wants to go to Tartarus. I was really expecting Tartarus to get unblocked after finals.
Gotcha.
And yeah. I did not go this week, so I don't know. Supposedly this is reaching the top of it in some capacity, so I'm really curious to do that. I might do that next week even, because I'm very curious to find out what's at the top.
Yeah.
Or whatever happens, right?
Well, let me tell you right now what happens at the top of Tartarus. Mickey Mouse appears. It's a full IP integration into Kingdom Hearts.
Oh my God. I would quit. We would end the show right here and there.
And then next year we're doing Kingdom Hearts 1. No. Yeah. We'll find out. Yeah.
No, so Mitsuru checks in the morning, and then I hung out with Mitsuru, got her to rank 9 during the day, and then there's this meeting in the evening.
Yes. I got Mitsuru to rank 6 during the day. So we'll just keep on rolling.
Rookie numbers.
Yeah. Embarrassing. And then, yes, as you mentioned.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Rank 9. We hugged. Oh. We're dating now.
Congrats.
Yeah. It was an awkward hug on the roof.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And we're dating now.
Congratulations.
It happened. Yes, thank you.
You've been waiting 9 months for this.
No, I will say, we're going to talk about it later, about why I was so disappointed with Fuka's storyline. I really do think Mitsuru's storyline is compelling in an interesting way, and I like kind of how your character fits into it. It also is a storyline that, boy, oh boy, if you would shoot her down, is brutal.
That's the thing, is that storyline feels very, without spoiling much, feels like a storyline that has to almost end in you being in a relationship.
Yeah, it's very much a storyline that was designed for the original game of You Can't Say No.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense there. But here it's like, yeah, if I shoot them down at the end of this, that feels rough. But
yeah, it does. It very much would. And I didn't.
We'll talk about that when we get there.
The other thing that's very funny about this, without spoilers, is that she's, when you're doing this we're dating now scene, is like very flustered and has this very like kind of high pitch nervous voice that she's doing. And then it hard cuts to this meeting about the end of the world where she's leading it, and she straight up sounds like a different character. Like, this is the strength of this voice actress. I don't know her name, unfortunately, off the top of my head, but she is so good at like making it the same character but changing her voice that she sounds so nervous and high pitched in this dating scene that you cut to the group meeting, and it was legitimately jarring to hear how much she was like in her business voice all of a sudden. It was really cool.
Allegra Clark is the voice
Great
actress.
job, Allegra.
Who also, I was like, oh yeah, I heard their voice in something I was watching recently. I was like, that's Mitsuru. Oh, she plays Maki in Jujutsu Kaisen. And it was like, they're definitely different and distinct, but you can hear a little bit of Mitsuru in here. And it was just very funny. Like, hold on now. I'm not playing this. I'm watching this show. But yeah, she's great.
But we do get to the group meeting.
Awesome. Yeah, we get there and we are all meeting in the dorm lobby. And this is, it's only been a few days, but everyone is kind of talking about what they have been approaching you in the mornings about, which is like, what is our plan?
Right.
And at this point, Fuka kind of is actually so surprised at Yukari's calmness during all of this, which is
Yeah.
the way she's acting. Yeah.
There's this flip in the scene of Yukari is cracking jokes and being calm, and Junpei is being super serious, yelling at everyone, freaking out. And it's like, it's this role reversal, right? Of, I mean, the best way I can put it is everyone handles grief differently. Everyone grieves differently. Everyone mourns differently. Everyone faces death differently and has different reactions. And I think, to me, Junpei freaking out and yelling at everyone is as weird as Yukari sitting there calm, cracking jokes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They are both having a reaction to this situation that is not normally how they would behave.
Yeah. When I think it's an interesting aspect of you also are getting these characters at two different points where they've dealt with other deaths. Like Yukari has obviously dealt with her dad's death a long time ago. It's been renewed.
10 years.
10 years. It's been renewed and is a little bit fresher here, obviously, because of all the revelations. But still, that was a death she grieved a decade ago, whereas Junpei is grieving someone 10 days ago. You know, it's a very different place we're finding them both in, but they are still reacting in this is a very different way, to your point. And yeah, she's like bummed it's been a drag around here and like no one wants to go to Tartarus and all this sort of stuff. And yeah, to your point, we'll get to Junpei in a second. I just wanted to mention Akihiko is also like, he doesn't want to run away from this. He wants to fight. Mitsuru discusses how she's kind of contemplating her death for the first time in her life, and she doesn't want to suffer, but that means taking a life to not suffer.
Yeah, the one thing that they kind of agree upon to some extent early is that they don't want to hurt Ryoji.
Yes, yeah.
Right? They still don't have all the answers, but they kind of know that they don't really want to kill him.
Yeah. And then that's when Junpei kind of explodes because he's scared and shocked that we're all talking about things so lightly. And I do think it's fair to say here, like, obviously, I think this is so raw for him because of her death, because like he is living in the death of the person he loved just a short while ago who died in his arms. And he doesn't and he just got to the point where he was like, you're right, I am going to live for the both of us. And then he was told, actually, you're not.
Right.
Yeah, that promise you made, you can't keep it. And it's not your fault, but you can't keep it. And that's a hard thing to be told.
Yeah.
And so he freaks out on everyone. He, especially us, he points at us first and is like, this whole thing is our fault. We raised it. We brought Ryoji to this point where he could bring about the end of the world. And if it weren't for us, none of this would have happened. And if we're so special about all this, we should do something.
Right. And it's very, very clearly speaking from a place of pain.
Yeah.
And not, I mean, like, he sounds like he means it, but really not meaning anything he's saying, just sort of lashing out, looking for someone to blame.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth here. Yukari sticks up for us. Junpei knows that, like, the reality of this, but he's just so scared. Fuka and Akihiko are also scared. Mitsuru is, like, cornered. They feel like they're all in the same boat at this point.
Yeah, this is the moment of all of them not just discussing this calmly, but saying, like, yeah, man, we are right there with you. None of us are happy about this. None of us are taking it well.
Yeah.
We're all just processing it in our different ways.
Yeah, and at this point, Yukari is kind of like, I don't want to forget everything at this point, and they're all sort of realizing that's where they are as well, to your earlier point of, like, not wanting to hurt Ryoji. There's also a sense of, like, we don't want to forget all of this that we went through. Just for a little sense of peace. And you get Junpei apologizing at this point. Obviously, Yukari is like, no one would blame you. Like, we understand why you acted this way. But yeah, his emotions got the better of him, but he's apologizing to us, which I wrote this down in my notes. I'm like, I don't think this is such a great case of character growth in this game. I don't think early game Junpei would apologize like that. Like,
sure,
he has clearly gone through so much and grown as an individual and he's still goofy and dumb, but he is not, I think, at that same selfish place or that same such insecure place that he was. And so him apologizing here to me was like, oh, wow, you've grown here a little bit. This is impressive.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So we'll consider our options until New Year's Eve, and that's where we leave it.
Yeah, the other thing here that relates into the study session later is they say, Mitsuru says, we'll just go about our lives and we probably shouldn't meet up like this again.
Yes. Yeah. Forgive me. Thank you for pointing that out.
And that sort of struck me as weird of like, specifically Mitsuru's like, let's not meet like we're a group again for a bit.
But the reasoning that comes out of that study session, I think, is so good and makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What'd you do for the evening?
Sat on the computer and thought about my girlfriend.
As you would. I brushed Koromaru.
Sometimes you just gotta brush a dog.
I did, and then I looked at my dog and I was like, he would hate this right now. I literally looked at him and said, look how happy he is. Why don't you act like that when I brush you? And then I brushed him a couple days later, and you know what? He just looked at me like, why are you doing this, Papa? Don't hurt me like this.
It's because you need to do it 3 times.
You're right.
To get really good about it.
I've only done it twice in his 7 years. December 11th.
Yeah.
We get a question about plurals. Mm-hmm. Which is fun. Grammar. Love a good grammar question. Always good.
It is entertaining. Those ones always feel high stakes for me because I'm like professionally an editor, and if I get them wrong, I feel very bad about it.
Same. Yeah. Those are, and I'm like, they're not tough questions, but it's just one of those things where it's like I'm overthinking because I'm like, I have to get this right.
yeah, exactly.
Because then I start gaming it out of like, what's the trick question here? What's the false answer? All that sort of stuff. Anyway, what'd you do for the day?
I got Mitsuru to max rank. So we are rank 10 now. Oh, I forgot to say, it's very cute that when you start dating them, all the stars on their rank thing turn into hearts.
Yeah, I love that.
That's adorable.
It's really sweet, yeah.
I think getting to 10 with her involved getting laid again. I think that is a thing.
So back when I ranked 10 with Yukari, I asked, when you get to rank 10, let me know how it goes for you.
Yeah, this game is more explicit about that than I was expecting.
Yeah.
It's like it makes me very uncomfortable. Again, one of my top wishes, I think I said this in our bonus episode about our wishes for P6. One of my top wishes for P6 is that it's college age kids at the very least.
Yeah.
Because it does make me really uncomfortable every time stuff like this comes up.
Yeah.
But it's like she says, like, I want you to stay with me tonight, which doesn't make a ton of sense because it's the middle of the day. And then,
it's like the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, and then it fades to black, and it's like you spent some quality time together, and then you come downstairs.
That's what I wanted you to see. It's so funny that you come downstairs, and for me, it was Fuko who's like, "Oh, didn't know you were up there."
I think it was Akihiko was like, "Oh, have you been in your room all day?"
Yeah,
it's like, no.
That's the one moment that I really like about these. I think is very funny.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's weird. Just put them in college. It's fine.
Yeah. Yep. And then I did the taiyaki because you can put the taiyaki. I think you put the taiyaki in the day before.
Yes.
And I remembered today. And the taiyaki you get is boring. It's just taiyaki. You just get your taiyaki. I think this is the first time in 8 months that you put the taiyaki in the fridge and then you just get taiyaki.
Hey, everyone's busy. There's no time for goofs.
I guess so. So.
And then I assume you did the study session?
Yes, I did the study with Mitsuru and Akihiko.
Cool. So I hung out with Hayase.
The parents.
Yes. Got Hayase to rank 8 during the day. And then, did the study session at night, which, as you pointed out, Mitsuru and Akihiko, it is, a very cute, like, parental scene about reinvigorating, like, these distracted older students into it and them helping you out and resolving to be triumphant, at least in these finals. If they happen to be our finals, like, let's go out swinging and all of that. It's very sweet.
It also just shows that it's getting to them, too.
Yeah.
Right? They're not above all of this.
Yeah, they're putting on a brave face, but, because as the leaders, to a certain extent, as the older students. But yeah, it's hard on them too. Yeah.
Right.
Moving on to December 12th, we get a Ono history lecture that you can stay awake or sleep in.
Mm-hmm.
I slept as well because I'm like, you know what? I think that makes more sense right now at this point.
Well, I mean, it makes more sense, and also, like, I don't need the points.
Oh, yeah, the points are whatever. But you still get a point, but a different point.
Yeah, but it's quicker. There's less dialogue.
Exactly. What did you do during the day now that you've max ranked Mitsuru? Did you just hang out with Mitsuru?
I hung out with Mitsuru. So there wasn't really much else for me to do. I could hang out with Suimitsu, but I noticed on the like online thing that it said went on a date with X person rather than like hung out with or whatever. And so I wanted to see what that entailed. Like, what does it mean when you go and hang out with this person? Do you get something for it? What is the scene? Yada, yada, yada. It is voiced because everything is in this game. But basically you just like go to the room and it fades to black again and says you spent some quality time. Like, it is way more, for being sort of so reserved in what it actually like shows and says, it is pretty explicit in what's happening again.
Yeah.
My character went from like nothing to having gotten laid 3 times in like the course of 2 weeks.
And one of them with an extra dimensional being. So
we don't talk about that.
That one, yeah. That never happened.
So super funny to me that is an option to just like do like, I guess, okay, didn't get anything for it, not related to anything, moving on.
That's fair.
Not a thing I'm going to be doing again, but I'm glad I saw what that quote unquote date was.
Sure. It's good to know. Yeah. I also
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bummed. I wish it was like, I wish it had been like a cute date scene, but it was not. It was just like, it was very not.
It's just, it does feel like, there is a certain limitation of this game doesn't have as many little hangout spots as P5 does. So I could envision a world like this, especially in this game where you could max out a romance quickly. You could go to those little date spots with these characters and it would be really fun. And I think they would be cute scenes, but yeah.
To be fair, this doesn't feel wildly off-brand for 2 high schoolers in love who don't have any parental supervision because their chaperone turned out to be a evil monster.
That's fair. That's very fair.
So, like, in character, it's the same thing with, like, Junpei being gross. Is like, in character, that probably makes sense.
Oh, that's the thing, is, like, I don't think he's very off for a high school boy. Yeah. I went to an all-guys high school. I knew plenty of Junpeis.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
Yeah, it's a different thing to, like, when you're, like, having to make dialogue choices, cheering him on.
Yeah. So I did that, and then in the evening I did the study group with the second years, the people your age.
Cool. Yeah, I hung out with Mitsuru as well, got her to rank 7. Shame I'm so far behind, but here we are. I did want to also point out, you get a text, I think, from Akihiko, or he's in the room and says that he wants to train.
And I decided to put that one off because it was I assumed it was the same situation as the last time this happened during finals week, where it was just going to become available after finals week as well.
I did the same, kind of expecting that you would probably do the hangout session, just because it's clearly where like the emotionality is. And it's like, you've hung out with Akihiko this week already. You've gotten his emotional state. And then, you get this study session, as you said, with the second years, which is great to have.
It's just fun. It's just very lighthearted in that it's you guys goofing about like study equipment, like pencils and stuff, and Fuka is just sort of happy about it. And at some point, Junpei asks to borrow something, and when he's given it by Yukari, he says "thankies," which I wrote down specifically.
Yeah,
thankies is
thankies.
What where did that come from?
He's not in his right mind. You can't blame the boy.
That'll be my new sign off right at the end of the show. Thankies for watching.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, I'm glad maybe it came this far into the show.
Yeah, seriously.
Then to our last day of the week, December 13th. We're already there. It's amazing. You got the Shopping Network on TV. I forget what it was. I didn't write down what the items were.
It's a healing item and some other things.
Okay. Obviously,
very expensive again.
Yeah. We both, I assume, did the study session in the evening.
Yes.
Okay. So what'd you do during the day?
Well, first of all, there's a very cute interaction in the little study area.
Yes.
On the second floor. Because it's Mitsuru, Fuka, and Yukari, and then Ken and Koromaru. And if you talk to one of them, I think it's Mitsuru, she can be like, do you want to join us? And then I think it's Yukari or Fuka is like, no, this is like girl hangout. And Ken is like, wait, what about me and Koromaru? And they're like, well, it's girl hangout plus dogs and elementary schoolers. Those don't count. And he's like, oh, okay. It's just like a very cute little interaction with that group of people.
Which weirdly, like as soon as you reminded me of that dialogue, I'm like, yeah, that tracks. Like definitely like a group of teenage girls would be like, oh yeah, the like little brother and dog doesn't count. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, the little brother and the sentient dog. And then you go downstairs and Junpei and Akihiko are just alone at the dining room table hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so during the day I got Suimitsu to rank 6. It was a nonsense filler scene.
Yes.
Where he makes a joke about poop again.
My guy. You get into the good ones though.
Almost. That was not a good one.
No, it wasn't. But there'll be some fun ones. I hung out with Hayase and got him to rank 9. So I am really, really getting close to all of these social links.
Nice.
Done.
How many do you have left?
I have Hayase, Mitsuru, and I think I need to finish Suimitsu. I think it's just those 3.
Okay.
Unless I'm forgetting.
So close.
Yeah. We shall see.
Very
well,
close.
And I guess S.E.E.S still isn't technically done, right? Like the full.
No, but I think it's at 9.
Yeah. So, and that one's on rails. So
yeah, you can't miss that one.
I don't remember if that one on rails gets done before I could like potentially finish these, or it would be like a nice capper sort of one, you know. But
yeah, I think I'm close to being finished. I think I have like Yuko has one more rank. Yukari, I think, is at like 4 or 5. And then I think the big ones for me is like Hayase is still at 2. And Hiraga is still at like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And then Sumitsu is at 6. So like I have a decent amount left, but also maybe achievable. I don't know how many free time days there are left in the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I was doing the math for myself because I can spoil myself on the calendar, and I was like, I can achieve this pretty comfortably. I just need to be on it, but I don't know.
Seems like it.
Yeah. We shall see.
Okay.
Well,
then yeah, you get this cute little study session with the whole team minus Mitsuru because they don't invite Mitsuru. It's this very cute thing where everyone wants to meet up, or Fuka, specifically Fuka and Yukari gather everyone to study together because they are sad that the group isn't hanging out because Mitsuru told them not to hang out. And then everyone keeps trying to leave and they make up excuses to try to get them to stay. And then Mitsuru shows up and they're all like, oh no. And then Mitsuru very quickly is like, oh, I'm sorry that I said that. I should have taken it back right away.
Yeah, it's a very sweet moment as she shows up and they're like, oh no, we're sorry. And they keep trying to like take the blame for each other. And yeah, she very much is just like, I warned you all to do that, but I regretted it. Like we do, we have so little time left potentially. We should be spending it together. And we do get to study like a family all together and we all hang out. And it's just a very nice sort of moment of, I get why Mitsuru said what she said. She thought she was protecting everyone, but I'm glad that she quickly comes around to the idea that no, that wasn't the way to go here.
Or she wouldn't come around to that idea if you skip the study session.
Exactly. Then it would just be a mess for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's why these feel so essential.
Yeah.
And that's our week.
That's our week.
We did it. Next week, as I mentioned, we'll be doing December 14th to, I believe it's the 21st. Yes, because it's one extra day. So
yeah,
we'll be doing that. And I had to count on my hands like a little kid because I am very tired. And we will be going through exams, which will obviously go by pretty quickly as they do, along with some other extra days after that. So again, please submit questions, comments, whatever you may have for us for next week, and we'll chat about things. Tom, what's your pop quiz? Or no, we'll do social links first. Actually, never mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
So who do you want to start with? Let's start with Maiko.
Yeah, we can start with Maiko. your little sister, who you get to hang out with, who just randomly you befriend a little child in the park.
Yeah, this scene, like the social link, largely I really like, even if it is a little bit, what's the right way to put it? Dramatic. It's sort of wild how high the stakes feel.
Yeah.
For just meeting a little kid in the park and hanging out with them. Obviously, the scene sort of revolves around her parents arguing a lot and her not liking that, and then ultimately she decides to run away. And that was where I was joking about being stuck on her scene on her link for a long time, because I realized if I hung out with her, she would run away.
Yeah.
And then her parents confront you, and then talk about how they're getting a divorce, and suddenly she's all right with it and kind of comes around and calms down and figures herself out. It's an interesting little character arc for her, and I like her as a character, and I like sort of your role in it feels a little pandery, because again, a lot of the choices you have to make to get the max stuff is like, yeah, run away, you don't need them, and it's like, wait, why are you saying this?
Yeah, this is one of the weirdest ones for like emboldening the character you're having a social link with. To like, this is not the way to foster the mind of a young child.
No,
it's odd there, but I do, yeah, to your point, like I do like Maiko overall, and I think the sort of dynamic of the two of you as like brother and sister works well here. It is very random that you just suddenly befriend a little child in the park, and then suddenly you're best pals.
Yeah, but
you know,
I mean, that can be read in sort of a creepy way, but it also, there are, in the same way of, what's his name in P5, I can never remember his name.
Oh.
The gun
yeah,
king.
The kid with we always forget his name.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. The
Anyway.
longer we sit here, the less I'm going to remember it. I don't know why
Yeah.
I can never remember it. It's just because he comes in the game so late.
But it's a similar sort of thing of like, mentor relationships of the like older brother, like even if it's not by blood,
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Totally.
That's a thing that happens in the world and can be very healthy and good for kids. And this you recognizing this kid that is sort of down on their luck and having trouble at home and trying to help them is nice. If the dialogue choices again weren't like, yeah, run away, you have everything you need? Like, that's sort of the bad lesson out of that.
Abandon your parents. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels a little unnecessary in that regard. But,
yeah. You go ahead.
Well, I do like the individual scenes, and I do like where her story ends up going, and her parents sort of not being as bad as, when they come to find her, it's clear that you're only getting one side of the story, and they are having trouble, but this is a little girl who's emotional about all of this and not really seeing clearly, and I like that they bring that perspective in. It also...
Shinya Oda.
I was going to say Shinji, and I didn't want to, but it felt close to right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shinya. No, but and then there's like a little bit of a weirdness, and I think it's like the rank 9 scene over this one where she's like telling you which parent she's choosing to stay with after the divorce, and the reasoning is really messed up to me. It's like her dad is fine. Her dad is like a good on his own, and she thinks that her mom would like fall apart without her, which is like, dang, this little kid is taking on a lot here.
It is like a surprisingly mature realization. I mean, that is probably true in, divorce cases, that a kid can maybe tell that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think there is reads that hit a little close to home sometimes. I was like, oh, I could understand that, but I don't know if I understood that at the age of 8.
Right.
So
that is a problem across lots of media, is young people being a little too smart for their own, like a little too mature for where they are in life.
Yeah. That's just a common thing. But no, I think Maiko's sweetness helps sell a lot of this social link in general. I think
she's a very charming character.
Yeah. And so even when it is like, I really shouldn't be commenting on your parents' relationship right now or helping you decide this, It's a sweet, at least, bond that gets formed there.
Yeah. And there's a cute little moment at the end where she asks you, if she says, "When we grow up, can I marry you?" or something like that. And it's very like that, that tracks for like little kids.
A little kid of that age. And it weirdly works, I guess, for a game where you think about it and it's like assumedly all the other like female social links at like the rank 10 of like high school age. It's like you automatically date. Obviously, thank God the game doesn't get weird here, but it's like it makes sense for like that character to be like, we're married now, because like kids would just go up to each other on the schoolyard and be like, we're married. I remember that being like a thing that kids would do.
And to the writing's credit, not that it should get much credit for this, your character isn't weird about it.
No, yeah,
right. It's like he very much, the responses you give are very much humoring a little kid.
Yes, yeah,
which is good.
No, yeah, definitely the way I think this solidifies you in the like the brotherly sisterly bond of this works really well, and I think gives your character a relationship that isn't necessarily it feels distinct from the like other friendships you form in the dorm. So yeah,
another example of a social link that just leaves too, because she moves. They do this a lot more than I was expecting. There are social links that just vanish when they're done. Quite literally in Kamiki's case.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to give the location, since it is fictional, a sense of like reality, maybe attached to the rest of Japan and all that. It's like, oh, here is, people actually do have to go to other parts of the country and whatnot. It makes a little more sense. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about Fuka?
Fuka!
Your favorite social link.
I'm very disappointed in this social link. Especially, as I was saying, especially after playing Mitsuru's and seeing that Mitsuru has, well, I will say a very recognizable one. I know this one came first, but there was lots of whiffs of Haru in there with Mitsuru, which we can get into later. And again, I know this one came first, so Haru has lots of whiffs of Mitsuru, technically speaking. But that felt like an arc and a character conflict and that related to her and who she has, what we already knew about her and all that sort of stuff. Again, avoiding spoilers there specifically. Fuka is really disappointing to me because it feels very out of left field. It doesn't feel like it is this storyline of her wanting to get really good at cooking so that she can serve the team better is like, I guess the core of it kind of makes sense of like, she's very intent on taking care of her teammates and providing for them and supporting them in her role on the team. But they do that through cooking, and then they make it all about the cooking. And the like first 5 or 6 scenes are just her making food and having you taste it and it being bad, and then her getting slightly better at it. And it's just like really long before you get to anything of substance about her actually. Yeah. And then again, at the end, I think it was, I'm trying to find my notes about the max rank scene. Yeah, because the end of this scene, right, or the end of this social link, she makes you gyoza. It's really tasty. Yukari joins in the cooking, and it's this very cute little scene. And at the end of it, she's like, by the way, I wanted to give you a gift. I am also an electrical and mechanical engineer, and I custom made you these headphones that sound way better than your headphones because I am incredibly talented, and I wanted this to be a gift to you. And I was like, why wasn't this entire social link about this? Immediately, I was like, she already has this skill that plays exactly to who she is, which is like the smart, technically like talented person who supports you that way. And instead they made it all about her cooking. And I just didn't get it. Especially when the cooking scenes with Yukari are all the exact same thing of her trying to get better at cooking. Like, it just felt really wrong for the character to me.
Yeah, it's also...
It felt like a waste. And
No,
that's my
totally.
rant. I'm done.
No, I'm with you. Especially, I think the repetitiveness of this one really kills it, because it eventually moves beyond it to some extent, and there is a little bit of interesting character discussion there toward the end, but it's so buried under a lot of this that, to your point, Yukari has that in those side conversations. We cook with like 3 or 4 other characters, so we're also getting cooking conversations with half the group anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're presented Fuka as this person who, like, there are clearly troubles she's had at home that she wanted to get away from. We understand kind of like her struggles with friendships as it relates to, I'm blanking on her name, but her classmate who eventually leaves. We have like ins there of different aspects of her personality. And then to your point, we have the technological aspect, the protector aspect, all of this sort of stuff. And it just goes right around all of them. It is...
Yeah.
It feels like the weirdest miss among a lot of stronger ones. Yeah.
Yeah. You get a couple moments throughout towards the end, like rank 8, rank 9, like the very end, where she starts telling you about her parents who, you know, pushed her and only wanted the best from her, and that kind of has been driving her. And she also admits that she was lying to herself about, you know, cooking wasn't about repaying her debts to the team. It was about really wanting everyone to stay with her and be with her forever. But again, none of those things are explored until rank 9.
Yeah.
There's no themes of like, she's cooking to keep you guys around because she's afraid you'll leave. Like, none of that shows up in any of the previous scenes until the very end. Just like this side of her with this technology, which we only briefly get in the actual main story and would have been ripe to explore in the side story, it just like is at the very end and that's it. It's like you said, it feels like such a miss. It feels like such an odd choice to make this all about her cooking, being bad at cooking and then getting better, when there could have just been so many more interesting things to dig into with this very interesting character.
Yeah, it's so disproportionate to how much I actually like Fuka, which is the weird part.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's fair to say, is we both really like Fuka as a character. That's why this, I think, comes across as so frustrating to us, because legitimately, like, I consider this one maybe my least favorite social link, just in terms of proportionality to the character. You know, like, there's characters...
At least Tanaka being a sleazebag makes sense.
Yeah, like, there are others that I don't think are great social links, but they at least feel more in line with the character. This one feels like not only not that interesting, but a disservice to the character. And it's a real weird blemish on what I would also say are, like, the group ones, the S.E.E.S ones are typically pretty strong. Like, Mitsuru's is pretty strong. I think Yukari's is pretty good. You know, it's surprising that this one feels so at a disadvantage comparatively.
Yeah, I think the rank 10, the max rank, was really the straw that broke the camel's back for me, of like, why have we not... You didn't bring up that you could make custom headphones that sound better than what you could buy in a store and look identical, which takes like extreme craftsmanship. You didn't bring that up until the very end. Like, at least sprinkle that in a little bit, that like, she's bad at cooking, but she has these other things she's passionate about and can do. Like, you didn't even do that.
Yeah.
You just let her be this kind of klutzy bad chef for the first 4 social links.
Yeah. It feels
where like
so
even
discordant.
a cat wouldn't eat her food.
Yeah. What a waste of potential, I think, there is the biggest frustration, because it's like, clearly we do see the great aspects of the writing in this game, and so I think to see this one feel like such a swing and a miss is where it becomes so disappointing. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
bummer.
Well, before we bum ourselves out too much more, Tom, hit us with a pop quiz question.
Okay, I got it for you, if I can find it again, because I've been jumping around my notes. Excuse me. All right. So we already talked about that. We're going to go into the study session specifically with Fuka, Junpei, and Yukari, because I love a Junpei fact. That's what the pop quizzes in this season have become, Junpei facts.
Good.
I mentioned that they're sharing around study resources, study materials, and implements. Junpei is particularly hung up when asked if Yukari can borrow one of his pieces of material to study or to use in his studies. What is that thing that Junpei is weirdly particular about? And if you want the bonus points, why is he so particular about it?
I'm really glad I didn't ruin this one because I had a feeling it might be your pop quiz, but I have it written down. Good.
Yeah. It's so there's one thing that Junpei is very particular about when it comes to study materials, and I want to know what that thing is because it's very cute. It feels sort of slightly out of character for him in a very endearing way.
Yeah. Well, you can leave your answers to that over at patreon.com/takeyourtime, where you can also get bonus episodes, early episodes, yada, yada, and just hang out with an incredible, wonderful group of fans of the show. You can also write in on youtube.com/Dornology. Find us on social medias. I'm at JM Dornbush. Tom is at Tom R. Marks. And that's about gonna do it for this week's episode. I hope you all are ready for exams.
Get your questions in.
Yes, please do.
Give us some questions.
I want to hear it from y'all.
We want to do some Q&A next week, and we'll probably do a couple more max ranks.
That would make sense. Well, until then, yeah, we're looking forward to chatting with all of that. We'll keep you updated about end of year scheduling. If it changes anything, obviously, if y'all hit us with some very thoughtful comments and you don't hear them on the show, that's because of early recordings. So please don't take that too hard. We will look at those in the new year, of course. We'll also be doing our bonus episode, which will be Tom and I talking about our favorite games of the year. We'll figure out when that's going up, but it will go up before the end of the year. And yeah, we'll have plenty more to discuss in the coming weeks, I hope. But until then, Tom, thank you, as always, so much for joining me.
Thank you.
I thought you were going to hit me with a quip. And then, other than that, thank you, everyone out there, for listening and watching. We hope you're doing well. We hope you're staying safe. And as always, I hope you seize the day.
Thank yous.